Hello, fellow weirdos. I'm Andy Negative, and today we're going to learn how to play punk on guitar. Alright, weirdos, before we jump in, please take a second to just subscribe to the channel for all kinds of guitar and music related stuff. In this video, we're going to go over several techniques that you can use on the guitar that work in punk music. Some techniques are widely used, some techniques are less widely used, and really, they're just things you can do on the guitar to do the punk. Yeah. That seems good. And I would like to take 1 minute to say thank you to this video's sponsor. There's no sponsor. It's me. I'm the sponsor. I don't have a sponsor, but I do have a Patreon. And if you enjoy my content and the stuff that I'm doing and want to help support me in my weird content creator lifestyle, for as little as $1 a month, you can join the Weirdo Cult over on Patreon and help me do the thing that I do. I'll tell you everything you need to know about it at the end of this video, but also you don't have to do anything. I'm not going to hire somebody to come to your house and throw rocks at you if you don't. It's just an option. All right, there's a bunch of stuff to cover, so let's dive right in. Okay, before we do anything, I'm using a Epiphone Les Paul Standard. It's got a Dirty Fingers humbucker in the bridge, which is a fairly high gain output. Pickup, I like it. It's got a pretty good mid-range and not too crazy low end. I'm also using the ML Sound Labs amped free plugin, the Fluff modeled plugin. It's fantastic. I'm just using the Fluff preset. I like the way it sounds. It's good. I like it. I'm a fan of it. You should go download it. It's free, so you need it. Trust me. Also, my guitar is in E flat, so if you're trying to play along and you notice that it's a little out, it's because my guitar is a half step down because I'm a weirdo like that. We're just going to go through these one by one, so let's start off with power chords. Basically, you want to just take your index finger and you want to fret your root note. This is the C or the B in your case, but the C for me. And then there will be the fifth of the chord, which is going to be 2 frets over and 1 string down. And then you're going to fret the octave with your pinky finger or your ring finger, and that's going to be an additional string down. That's a power chord. That's the most used rock and roll punk rock chord that there is. It's really easy. You can play it anywhere on the fretboard. The only thing you need to keep in mind is when you move up to the D string, you have to slide the octave up 1 fret. Otherwise you get this, which also sounds cool. And then when you move up so that you're on the G string, you're going to need to slide both your fifth and your octave up 1 fret from a normal power chord, which I just do by fretting with my pinky like that. And there you go. Otherwise you get this, which is horrible. Actually, I really kind of like that, so maybe I'll use that. And that's your power chord. That's your simple power chord. Now we can actually take this one step further in simplicity's sake, and we can play a simple power chord. The difference being that you just omit the octave. So basically you're just going to fret the root note, and then you're going to fret the fifth, which is 2 frets over and 1 string down. Now why would you do that, you ask? Well, it's easier, which is, it's punk rock, right? We don't want to have to work too hard. It's just a little simpler. It's a little easier to do. It just gives you a little more wiggle room and can sound a little cooler when you stack things together. Next up, we've got octaves. Octaves are fantastic. They're basically just a hollow sounding note. You can use it for leads, you can use it for whatever. It's very, very simple. You're basically just omitting the fifth from a power chord. So you're going to take your root note, and you're going to fret it with your index finger. Then you're going to move 2 frets over and 2 strings down, and basically just fret the same note twice. That's why it's an octave. It's the note and then the octave up from that note, which is the same note, just 1 octave higher. Why would you need an octave? They could beef up your leads, which is awesome. You could sound like Blink-182. That's what you want. And then we have what I call the Andy Negative power chord. which basically in this case we're just going to hold the octave while we move the root and the fifth around. So effectively we're going to take our root note, fret our fifth with our ring finger here, and hold the octave, and then we're going to move the root and the fifth down in this case. Because I'm in an open position for this next one, I'm going to just play the open note, holding that octave, and then slide up to my top power chord right there, which is a combination of the simple power chord and the full power chord. I like them because it just lets you have that overhanging drone note as you move through the other chords. It just adds some texture. I've used it many times. You can do a lot of things with it, and I'm a fan of it. I'm sure I didn't invent this. I just, it's a thing that I do. And so I'm going to say that it's mine, even though it's probably not. Next up, we have the Tom DeLonge picking pattern. This isn't a Tom DeLonge invented thing. It's just something that he frequently did, where he would move around the root note while holding the two top notes of the power chord. He has admitted that he stole that from the Descendants. Editing Andy here, I actually found the interview that I was referencing while putting the footage together, and it is actually Brett Baker from Dag Nasty and Bad Religion, not the Descendants. You can look and find the interview. It's a Tom DeLonge buzzworthy interview or something like that. I'll have the link down below, but yeah, I'm sorry about that. He stole so much from the Descendants though that it's like whatever, man. All right, back to the video. It's not his original concept. It's just something that he really popularized with Blink-182, and that's very simple. You're just gonna, and then you're just gonna move your root note. It's really simple, and you can hear it all over Blink-182 and Boxcar Racer and Angels and Airwaves. Next up, we have palm muting. Palm muting is very simple. You just fret your chord that you want, and then you're going to take the heel of your hand, which you can see right there, and you're going to press it against the bridge so that you're muting the string. As you move your palm around on the string, you'll mute different amounts until it's ridiculous. And then if you move it too far back, you won't mute at all. So you want to find a nice middle ground where you're just setting it just off the bridge. And this will work on any guitar as long as you're setting it where the strings sit on the bridge for your given guitar. And then you're just gonna strum. Now, there's many approaches to this. You can do full power chords, you can do simple power chords, and frequently what I'll do when I'm doing a really heavily palm muted part is I will omit everything except for the root note for the guitar so that I get both guitars on either side just playing. And then just try to get a really even performance between the two of them, and it sounds really beefy when you've got them palm muted because it compresses the signal a little bit and makes it nice and loud. Lots of spaces for palm muting in verses. Used to be that guitar players would just turn off their distortion for verses so the guitar was a little quieter, whereas now guitar players frequently palm mute in punk rock so there's a little more space for the vocals on top. Next we have drop D. Drop D is simply a tuning change. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your low E string and you're going to want to tune it down to a D. That way you've got a power chord right there. It's basically simplifying a power chord even further so you don't even need more than one finger to play it. Then that is the lazy approach to music that we punks just love, because who wants to put that much effort into anything? What's great about drop D is you allow yourself to be able to do some really full, large chords, or you can now this is a little more of a heavy kind of guitar playing and is seen a little more with hardcore punk and metal. But there are lots of bands that use drop D when they're playing, and even if it just comes down to the simplicity of being able to take your hand off of the guitar while you're playing, and if you're in an easycore band that loves to do breakdowns, just incorporate palm muting and drop D and you're set. offbeat ska chords. Offbeat ska chords are another simple one. You basically just take your index finger and you fret the bottom 3 strings with one finger, and that's going to give you a ska chord. This ska chord is used in offbeats, so buka, buka, buka. So on the 2, buka, 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 and it's as an accent. It's now you're using the guitar more like a snare drum. Lots of bands use the ska chord thing. Rancid is a great example of it. Just gives you another kind of more upbeat, which is hilarious because it's technically on the downbeat, but I digress. Ska chords can be used in ska, they can be used in punk, and remember, ska is a way of life. And once you go ska, you never stop being a ska kid. Oi! Next up we have a riff. A riff is very simply just some musical passage where you use the guitar as the lead instrument to stand out, maybe against some vocals, on its own as a lead instrument. Riffs are completely open to interpretation, and you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, and however you want. There are rules in that there are rules for music theory, but really with riffs you can play them however you want, and you can do whatever you want. Power chord riffs. A power chord riff is very simply playing that same riff but with power chords, and you're wondering why you might do that, and that's really just to beef up the sound of the riff, giving it the 5th and the octave on top, or just the 5th. Really, that's totally up to you. And in many cases, if you take the bass and have it play the root note underneath it, you're going to get a really heavy, awesome, powerful riff that's driving forward because all the instruments are playing this awesome, powerful, driving riff, and it's going to sound radical. And that's what we're trying to do, right? We're just trying to make rad sounding music. And one bonus one, the diminished power chord. I think it's a diminished power chord or a suspended power chord. I think it's diminished or suspended power chord, augmented. I don't know. One of you will let me know down below what it's called. I'm sure it's just another Tom DeLonge thing that I picked up from Blink-182. And basically, you just make a standard full-size power chord, and then you slide your index finger down a fret, and you slide the ring finger down a fret as well. So now you've got. This is an instance where playing the power chord with your ring finger on the octave actually makes it easier because it's easier to slide between them instead of this trying to push your index pinky underneath the thing. It's impossible. It can't be done. So you would play it this way. This can be heard in Boxcar Racer a lot, like a lot. It can be heard in my music a ton. Really, it's a heavily used Tom DeLonge thing that I'm quite a fan of. Yeah, you should use it. It's great. I use it all the time. It's fantastic. One of my favorite things on guitar. And that's it for the techniques in today's video on how to play punk guitar. What do you think? Are these useful? Do you find any of these useful? Are you using these techniques? I know I am, basically nonstop. I love all of them. They're all my favorite. But I'd like to know which one of these techniques is your favorite to use when you're making music. Personally, mine's my Andy negative guitar, like power chord thing, which I know is not technically mine, but I call it that, so I'm just gonna say that it's mine. That's my favorite one, but I wonder what's your favorite one. Let me know down below. If you found this video insightful, informative, or even entertaining, please obliterate that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As I said at the beginning of this video, I don't have a sponsor, but I do have a wonderful community over on Patreon called The Weirdo Cult. I love them to bits. They're so supportive, and they help me do this content creator thing that I'm trying to do, and they help me afford to have coffee, which is super, super rad. And if you'd like to support me in my creative endeavors further, please consider joining the Weirdo Cult over on Patreon. My community gets early access to all of my content, exclusive music that you cannot get anywhere else, and they have their name included at the ends of all my videos, which you'll see immediately following this. I'm Andy Negative, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye! this, the video is now at its end, and I'm just, if you could just do me one extra favor, I just released my very first novel that I'm very, very proud of. It's based off of my album SOS, and if you could go to Amazon and you could go purchase a copy and read it and maybe leave a review, it'd honestly mean the world to me. Please go do that if you want to, and if not, don't. Thank you. Bye.